My, how 30 years flies by. Well, first off, thank you for inviting me today, and I wanted to give you a quick kind of retrospective and talk about some of the key projects I think that along this journey, but also more importantly to talk about what's ahead over the next year, and then a new project that we're going to talk about today. I might add in the beginning, though, just to give you a perspective on this, and there's lots of discussion about other parts of the city and the parish that for revitalization. You have to remember in terms of downtown, the old state capitol was closed, Catfish Town was closed, the old governor's mansion was closed, the Arsenal Museum was closed. Our two historic residential neighborhoods were very much in transition. You didn't feel safe walking down 3rd Street or Lafayette Street at night. And for those out there that are beginning this journey of redevelopment and stuff, I can say absolutely and without question that it can be done. You can turn it around. You have to develop partnerships and stuff. So with that, again, we are formed, actually it was proposed by former Mayor Pat Screen in the Baton Rouge 2000 to create the Downtown Development District. It was modeled after New Orleans' DDD. At that time, I remember we were talking with Jerry Mumau, who was the director back then. And actually, Jim and Janie Brand are here, and they were involved with downtown revitalization in the World's Fair back in '84 and since, so it's good to see you all as well, and they're very familiar with our type of work. We've had some $2.2 billion investment. You see the breakdown in private and public investment, $1.39 billion and $812 million. Important to see and note on this, and this is all in our downtown toolkit, a property value increase of 33% since 2010. We currently have 37 projects underway. There's 571 businesses, and on the right you see the breakdown of the type of private industry that we have there. We also have a breakdown of worker profile, the earnings, and the gender, and then the age groups. 1.5 million tourists visit downtown. We have 9,099 residents with our expanded census tracts now, since we've expanded. This is our first year of the expansion. We go all the way to the Kansas City Railroad line. We go south and take in the water campus, and we go north and take in the industrial park on Choctaw. Some 26,000 in workforce and 140,000 people visit downtown on a daily basis. We are about vision, planning, funding, and implementation. So it is important for us to be involved with early on, but also charged with how do we fund these things and get these things implemented. So we're involved in all aspects of that. What I have found most importantly with the private sector, because obviously an organization like ours can't do it by ourselves, but if we can give the stability and the predictability, give the private sector the ability to invest, that's where we've seen a great strides made. Certainly in catalytic developments, and I want to put in here the riverboats since we're here at Catfish Town right now. We knew when riverboats were coming into town that they weren't going to be huge as far as downtown development because people go to the boats to gamble. But we wanted to make sure we had landside improvements because we know boats float. And so what we were left with, and I did a lot of studying, and at that time Mayor McHugh appointed me as the point person on riverboat gambling. So you see a lot of landside investment here. Now I mentioned that both here and at Hollywood Casino, and of course a hotel was pivotal to get in the city. At that time we had none, and to get a hotel down here. I might add that this is also a year where the legislature is looking at the riverboats and potentially could see some changes that might allow some type of landside. I know I've gotten a visit from the chairman of Riverboat Gaming Commission that's at least being studied right now and stuff. So we're going to be following that closely as well. But other projects, getting that the boats here brought us the Sheraton, the Bella Baton Rouge Hotel, and then other hotels like the Hilton. This is again the catalytic in that this is where we propose state sales tax rebate, the first in the state, and then also where we first used introduced the TIF, the tax increment financing, to get a hotel. The Shaw Center for the Arts was pivotal, a major Plan Baton Rouge recommendation to bring a lot of vibrancy with the arts downtown. Others, such as the courthouse, that keeps the stability of the tenant base downtown with the attorneys down here to have it and stay in downtown. The town square is a common meeting place. We see our contractors here who built that, Rigi, thank you for coming. And then Two City Plaza, which is a result of the Katrina effect and having more of a presence in the city. Also the Crest I want to mention because it was the first mixed-use residential with both the residential and the home for a little village now. The Hampton followed, the Hotel Indigo, and then the River Center expansion. And a really important vote is coming up November the 18th, of which the Baton Rouge Lodging Association supports, and that is an additional 2 cents. 1 penny of that will go towards River Center expansion. It's absolutely imperative that the River Center stay competitive because right now it's very important. You see other improvements from the Cajun Dome in Lafayette and others that we keep investing in these facilities here. Watermark Baton Rouge opened this past year. Holiday Inn Express, Courtyard by Marriott will open up in April of 2018 with the Starbucks at the bottom there. Celebrating 30 years. Obviously, planning for our future involved a lot of public process, and I do tell people I've been invited to speak at a number of groups that are working on other areas of the parish, and just the bottom line, you have to go to the people and you have to have these public meetings and get their input, and that was important for us in the beginning. If I didn't have the support of the downtown neighborhoods or of the property owners, who pay the tax, we wouldn't have gone anywhere and stuff. So that's important, and then also getting visionary planning. So from the Riverfront Master Plan to now Plan Baton Rouge 2, we're going by the book, and we revisit that every month and about what we're doing with those plans, and you see a great big emphasis on greening downtown. That's directly from Plan Baton Rouge 2. One of those early and pivotal projects was the consolidation of state government downtown, and certainly getting Act 761 in 1990, requiring the state to do a master plan, and then giving first preference to downtown on leasing of space had a huge impact. What was important was that the state had acquired the property it needed by the time the Foster administration hit, and we were able to build a lot of the buildings at once because they had the available property. I think it's the most beautiful state capitol complex in the country. All designed under architectural control. I was in one of the buildings this past week, and again, people forget, like the lobbies of those have great works of art by Louisiana artists and everyone, and I want to capitalize on that because it's great for a visitor to tour these lobbies of the state buildings. Only 2 projects are left in that whole implementation, and one of them I'm going to talk about at the very end. Reclaiming cultural access like the old state capitol, the old governor's mansion. Getting the Capitol House back into the Hilton was a great success story, I think, for the citizens of this parish because we figured out how to save and put back into commerce a 250,000 square foot problem. And it was a lot of coming together to do that. And it, when you're told for years that no bank will finance a hotel, both locally and nationally, and then to see at one point when this hotel was leading in occupancy rates in the region is a far turnaround from where we were. Reconnecting to the riverfront, making those decisions to put your convention center downtown. At one point, it was considered maybe you should go out on Bluebonnet. And I argued that, what's so different from Bluebonnet with which is a nice street, but with interstate and a mall, you've got the river here. You got to get that uniqueness here and for visitors here. So it was by plan. You have your convention center, you have your restaurants, you have your attractions, all within walking distance. So you arrive as a visitor, you can walk to everything you need to do. And obviously highlighting those attractions like the USS Kidd and even building bike paths. The creation of an arts and entertainment district in the Shaw Center for the Arts was really the silver bullet of Plan Baton Rouge. It has achieved so much of what it had set out to do by having all sorts of events there, which then invites people to have dinner afterwards, to listen to live music venues, or just a lot of vibrancy from that building. Right now we have 8 outdoor event venues, 5 concert venues, or 8 art galleries, 63 restaurants, and 21 bars and lounges with over 1,000 events per year. So as a downtown, you want this to be able to have a place where you could come, gather, have events. I have one person in my office that strictly just handles all those events, Casey Tates, who's here on that, and works all the time so we can accommodate everybody that wants to have events. Things like Jambalaya Jam, movie night, live after 5, creating quality green spaces. We're investing some $23 million in green space investment. You see this greening of downtown from Planned Baton Rouge 2 is where our civic and cultural attractions come together, and the green is the piece that combines it together. For events like at Town Square, you have Zumba, you have the public concerts, you have Repentance Park, where it's designed, water features are designed for kids to play in. We have a lot of schools that come downtown and visit the attractions, and kids need a place to run around in. Then we develop what I think is just a real smart and cool way to introduce a concert venue, and that's the Crest Sculpture, which is a piece of sculpture. Again, it's won some international awards, but then you can attach a truss system to it and then have the concerts, like you see the symphony playing there at the bottom left. So it becomes an important piece for that difficult project to build. So again, thank y'all for that. And but it's a showpiece for the city. Access to the riverfront, and always a huge challenge because you have the Corps of Engineers, you have the Canadian National Railroad, you have the U.S. Highway and stuff. We were able to overcome that with the 50-foot access at Florida and River Road, and of course we're building some pathways along that. The greening of downtown streetscape, you see some improvements on Florida Street and Lafayette there, and even things like Yazoo Plaza, an outdoor space for kids to enjoy at the LASM. Improvements in and this is the downtown east areas, Spanish Town Road Park. We're creating a park, this is east of I-110 Interstate. Expressway Park, which again, we were able to put lights on the field for kids to practice football there. It's got Walk-Ons became a sponsor and had built basketball courts, and we renovated the community gym there. And that pathway you see is the greenway that's linking everything together to downtown. This is Convention Street Park, which is bottom left. You see 142 residential unit that's going to be sited right on it. And as a residents will be able to enjoy that. This is between Florida and Convention and 6th Street. It's called the Lofts at 6C. 11 acres we've created in downtown green space in an urban city. That's, to me, is pretty good because that's hard. We broke up streets like 3rd Street. People remember St. Louis and 3rd used to connect with an angle. We got rid of all that and created a green space there, but we needed to green downtown and to make a common place for people who live down here, who work down here, to have all sorts of events. Here you see the greening in the Riverfront Master Plan. Also to move people about and transportation-wise, and right now CATS is looking at studying where to put its downtown hub, and so we're talking with their consultant there right now. Important, and they're also planning bus rapid transit down Florida Street that will take you from downtown to other parts east of the parish. Other forms by bicycles and wayfinding and transportation stops we have there. Stabilizing our neighborhoods, very, very important in the beginning. 1805, 1806, Spanish Town and Beauregard Town. And we introduced a program called Restoration Renaissance. And this was in like 1988, 89. And what we did is we had some 65 plus homes for sale or lease in the neighborhoods. And I couldn't get any bank to finance renovations or anybody to insure the properties. And it's very interesting that when the mayor just appointed Daryl Gissel as the CAO for the city, Daryl was with me early on. He was one of the early investors, and he knows these stories. And what we did is we assembled together bankers, architects, contractors, landscape architects, and had an open house setting of these properties. It became a very, very successful program, and we ended it because we didn't have the properties for sale anymore, and the tenor of the neighborhood had changed by then. Simple things in the neighborhood that are important that we, from creating a very specific type of signage, a wayfinding entry for Beauregard Town or logos for Spanish Town in their neighborhoods to put in there. Having security in the neighborhoods. One of the first projects we did there was to help with the lighting. It was abysmal. And to just get some basic street lighting going on in there. I remember that was very successful. But things also like facade grant programs, even for our shotguns and stuff that we have there, to help with those renovations of those facades. Doggy bags, trash bags. That's on the bottom right. That's actually me. We're planting those trees, those elms on Spanish Town Road right now, which are huge and stuff. But that was one of the early projects that we did there. Downtown living, right now we have 4,858 occupied housing units, and you see the breakdown of renter to owner occupied. 158.3 million in residential investment within the last 5 years. Obviously, Spanish Town is a historic neighborhood with a small little grocery store in there. Beauregard Town, again, the front porches, the community feel, are all the wave of what they build now as far as residential. And they're great eclectic neighborhoods with fantastic people in there. And of course, we move into the Central Business District with some of the newer ones like 438 Main, 111 there. And what we found in the residential developments in the Central Business District is they all fill up. Our newer area takes in Capitol Place, Capitol View North, and Downtown East, which is the Elysian. It will also, you can see the old Hotel Lincoln there to the left, and we've been meeting with the new owner of that, Solomon Carter, and he's planning to put residential in there, and we're working with him on Eddie Robinson Drive. This is Downtown South, again next to the Water Campus, and you see the new residential there. That's occurring, and of course, Water Campus itself has plans for residential in it. Services, obviously, they're paramount for residential living downtown. To get that grocery store, to get that pharmacy, to get that health and wellness center was extremely important for people who want to live downtown. 10 public green spaces that we have now, fitness centers, 17 attractions, 10 churches, 6 schools within the DDD, and 25 within 2 miles. And some of the pivotal private projects, we have 357 in the pipeline, residential, 239 underway, and 118 planned. Things such as 440 on 3rd you've seen the last couple of years, the introduction and the huge hit of Mathern's Grocery downtown. One of the things when we worked with AGC's, Associate General Contractors, feasibility people, it came back a bit soft as far as having a grocery store downtown. But what we did is we told them that, you need to think in terms of having a restaurant in there. So if you have a good deli, because I know the downtown workforce would like to move around and eat, and they did. And they created one, and they brought in a lot of people until we got the residential starting to come in here. And it's doing great, I have to tell you. And open 7 days a week, morning, noon, and night. That's one of the things I did ask them to do. Commerce Building, obviously, another unit which is just about completely filled up with Magpie on the bottom. Onyx Development's doing very well. The IBM development, again, this is a partnership with the state, the city, and Baton Rouge Area Foundation. 525 Lafayette, which is completely filled. Belvedere condos downtown, and they're completing that right now, and that's 4 riverfront townhomes, and they will be complete in the next couple of months. 200 Laurel Street has the Carbo Landscape Architects and Prescott Bailey is the owner. Maritime One, right here, over there, has 24 residential units in there, a conversion. This is where Department of Economic Development used to be many years ago when Kevin Riley was there, and it's now 2 floors of residential. The Salts Building will be converted into 6 1- and 2-bedroom apartments by Kevin and Helena Cunningham. The Elysian 2, Elysian 1 was so successful, they're going to build an Elysian 2, another 100-unit residential development off of Spanish Town Road east of I-110. And this is Gulf Coast Housing Partnership, and there will be market rate in there combined with subsidized housing. This is the Lofts at 6C. This is another HUD program. It's going to have 142 units, 1 and 2 bedroom. It's also building 80 to 100 additional public spaces for lease, which I think is a great move on John O's part. John O'Haron is the owner of this building. That'll be completed in 2018. House on the Hill is 15 residential units in Beauregard Town. It's a combination of existing buildings and new buildings. And what Susan Turner and Scott Purton are doing is I think it's a great model to use for other inner city blocks, because we have lost a lot of the housing in there, and they're building the design of it has a community area for gathering, a community kitchen, very cool little concept that's going on in Beauregard Town. This is Beauregard Quarters, which is nearing completion right now, right behind the Prince Apartments in Beauregard Town, 25 1 and 2 bedroom units. Under hotels now, we have existing 1,043 and 135 are underway. This is the Courtyard by Marriott. They just got the 8th floor up, which is their final floor, and Starbucks will be in the bottom there. This is the Watermark that opened up earlier this year. Holiday Inn Express, 500 Laurel. And again, a lot of this is a home for Business First Bank. Arkell Development just did a $3 million renovation. Louisiana Licensing Board for Contracts were located at the corner of North and 6th Street, right next to the Galvez Garage. Sonic Corporate headquarters is now downtown with a new restaurant that they added at Government Street and 10th. Caneland Distilling, right again next door over here. Great little attraction and place if you haven't been there before. Mentorship Academy and Southern University. And what they did is they experimented with Southern by putting some night classes for the law school here, and it's been a great hit. They sold out of all the law. So Preston Castile was very much involved in that, and he's looking at adding more classroom space here in the evening. I love the idea of having college students downtown. Spencer Callahan is planning an $8.5 million renovation on the corner of St. Louis and South Boulevard. This is the Electric Depot, which is right on our border at Government Street, and Weinstein Nelson Development is doing that, Dyke Nelson, and you're going to see them getting underway in the first of the year with a lot of retail and offices. Public-private, obviously the water campus, and I might add this is the Water Institute of the Gulf. We're located in that building on the right there, and it's called the Center for Coastal and Deltaic Solutions, and they'll move in December. A shared co-working space will open up in January. The Estuary Conference and Event Venue will open up in March, and then infrastructure on Water Street will begin soon on between Nicholson Drive and River Road. Then additional buildings will follow in 2018. They're multi-tenant office buildings. Here you can see some of the images of the building, and you see the replica of the Mississippi River in that, and then here's a view from the river itself, the Water Institute of the Gulf's building there. It's quite dynamic. Some 2,000 people will be working in this area. It's going to be just incredible there. Public projects, the River Center Library, Town Square will be complete. I would have to say one of the toughest projects I ever worked on. It's just, I never knew that libraries could be so volatile sometimes. But we're excited about it. It's going to have a lot of tech associated with it. It's a very cool design too. Working on right now the River Center Theater renovation, $18.1 million, and you can see they're going to put in some center aisles in there, a lot of wood, and they're going to even redo the outside of the facility. Town Square Phase 2, they actually open up the bids on that November the 8th. So we're excited about that, to continue a block both east and west and improvements on the north side of North Boulevard. City Hall Plaza, again under construction right now, and here's a larger image of it. The crest sculpture you see there, the stage was designed to work both south and north. And so we're going to have a large expanse of green space. The form is starting to come together right now. It can hold at least twice, if not 3 times as many people as Galvez Plaza. And we're going to light the crest sculpture. It's been a challenge of a project because you got to remember this is a green space on top of 2 floors of parking. So a lot of the work is underneath. The facility is 40 years old and didn't have any improvements to waterproofing and things like that. And ADA, oh my gosh, having to, get things so that it's easier for people to get around. When this was opened in 1977, it just wasn't on anybody's radar. It was a space more designed to look at than to be in and experience and stuff. So we're changing all of that. I'm putting a sound system in there, lighting in there, and we're going to have all sorts of public events there. And it flows right into Repentance, and you see right into Galvez. Our downtown Greenway, the first phase of that opened up this past year. We're going to, actually in January, we're going to go out to bid very soon on the East Boulevard portion of it. And you can see this is complete here, this is complete here, this is what's going out to bid. And we're going all the way to City and Brooksport, and then we're going to go north to Memorial Stadium. Of course, and it ties into the levee path on the levee. So here's the portion that's complete right now on North Boulevard. Louisiana Avenue connection, and this is an important connection because this is what connects us to the recently announced Government Street project, where the three-laning government. And what happened is the DOTD project, if you're coming west, stopped at Eddie Robinson. Even though it said it links to ours, it didn't. And so we created the Louisiana Avenue connection down Eddie Robinson to Louisiana that ties into to East Boulevard. And we were able to get, the council just approved it last week, some funds for that. And you can see, again, here is our Greenway here. This is Louisiana Avenue connection. This is Eddie Robinson, and this is Government Street here. And that project should get underway, I think, before the end of the year. They've signed the contract on that. So here's some images. I want to change a very perceived as a negative into a positive. So under there will be lighting, both security and decorative lighting for pedestrians and for bicyclists, not for cars. But this is called Louisiana Avenue Connection. And this is improvements we want to do down Louisiana to Eddie Robinson. And again, what I showed you earlier, the Hotel Lincoln is on Eddie Robinson, so it's a part of that as well. Great opportunity for all sorts of new residential properties to happen in there. We have a lot of vacant lots in there that we see a whole new neighborhood emerging there. The Rotary project, in October of 2018, the Rotary will gift to the city. It'll be probably about a $400,000 sculpture right at the foot of Florida and River Road, and we're working on Corps of Engineers approval for that right now. Our River Road is under construction for the multi-use pathway on the west side, and you can see it. That portion will be complete by the end of December. We also have another grant to do the east side, and then we're going to line it with trees, sycamore trees, those riverine palette of trees that are compatible with the Mississippi River and its estuary. And here you can see an overall view of that. Next week they're going to start a whole comprehensive riverfront wayfinding signage program to direct you to all these attractions downtown. We're going to do improvements under the I-110 with overpass lighting, make it more secure. I have 540 parking spaces. They must be free because that was the deal when DOTD signed the deal with the city back in the 60s to do that. So that's great to have downtown. Bike share will launch in 2018. And again, the Baton Rouge Area Foundation is leading that. We're doing improvements to Riverfront Plaza, which you're going to see a lot of attention with the riverboats over the next couple of years with that. And here's the plan for that. And we're going to do we're going to energize the Levee Green, the Levee Stage, the Levee Amphitheater, and the Riverfront Court. We have so much pressure for people who want to have events at Town Square, we actually needed another place to accommodate them. So we've got some of the basic bones, we're going to improve it. So that's under design right now by Corbo Associates. Riverfront dock expansion, as you see, we had 56 stops in 2016, 91 will be in 2017, which is 71.4% increase. But Viking Cruise Ships is planning to come in 2020, and they will have possibly 1 or 2 stops per week in downtown. So we have to expand our dock. And here's our dock here, and so we're looking at a series of floating barges to accommodate several vessels at once. We could possibly have up to 150 boats docking here per year or more. And so it changes the nature of the visitors to our center and a lot of river commerce here. And one of the early things we did just a month ago or so, we just put a shade structure out on the end of the dock, and we're going to working on lighting on that right now just to give you some shade out on the riverfront. We need a nice arrival and departure for people coming to visit our city, as well for our citizens as well, because it gets hot out there on the dock. This year, we have, again, 12 projects that will open up or underway. The Lofts at 6C, Beauregard Quarters, Courtyard by Marriott, Downtown Library at Town Square, City Hall Plaza, River Road, and City Hall Plaza should be complete by the middle to end of January this year. River Road improvements, East Boulevard Greenway, Water Campus, the Water Institute of the Gulf, North Boulevard Town Square Phase 2 will get underway. The Rotary Sculpture Project in October 2018. Riverfront Plaza will be complete by the summer of 2018. Louisiana Avenue Connection will get underway, and a new project that we're going to talk about today, DeSoto Park, present to today. Now, this is a 20-acre site of Batcher property right across from the Pentagon Barracks. Here you see here. And it has been much discussed. In 1990, we had the riverfront, our Alan Eskew Riverfront Master Plan. He called for a series of boardwalks and to what he referred to as enjoy the huskiness of the river, the theater of the river. He introduced a lot of that terminology. He was such a gifted person. I so enjoyed working with him. The Capitol Park Master Plan by Post Architects proposed an 11-acre site that was built up on there, and came very close to funding on that actually, but then it just didn't happen. It was followed up by the Michael Van Valkenburg plan, which called for a formal type of green space and then some wild area. And then, of course, the Alive project, which was going to be the Audubon Institute's proposal here, and it was a wild kind of feature, which came in the first election, it came very close to passing. So here is DeSoto Park today, 2017, and it is Batcher. It's got two borrow pits, or bar pits as they refer to them. It floods, but then it doesn't. And so what we're proposing is the DeSoto Park Nature Trail. And it's a 1-mile nature trail through the site. Here you can see an image, and this is the kind of thing you experience when you're in the property. We were just there last week. You see the state capitol there. Existing bar pits, stocked with fish, river and city views. This is the kind of view you get at the Mississippi River and we just biked in there. This is the view of one of the ponds there, or the bar pits. This is another one that kind of reminisces of some of the state buildings rise up out of it there, and it kind of reminds me of Central Park a little bit. Just beautiful pieces of property. So this is what we propose, is that at North Street you can enter there because you have an existing right-of-way with the city parish at North Street, and a series of mile-long trail that can take you through the whole park experience. And you can have places to sit and enjoy. You can enjoy what I think is a great Louisiana attraction, authentic. You see the blue herons, the white egrets. There's a beaver in there too. You can see it parking away. But the idea that people, a resident living downtown, could walk through a 20-acre nature trail, or a visitor to our city, or to the Capitol doing business, you can walk and experience this authentic, Batcher property, Louisiana. And so the idea again is trail character. We put forth there. We'd have interpretive and directional signage so people can identify the type of plant material that you might have there, or the trees, or the types of species of animals that you would see there. Places to sit, places to bike, places to bird watch the river. It is a working river, believe me. We saw several tugboats coming by, and they're moving barges left and right. That's Baton Rouge. And so I think it's a great thing that we should celebrate. Responding to growth, obviously, our resource center is a hub of activity. We had a lot of meetings on this morning. We get the private sector to come in and work with us to make sure things are compatible with each other. This is our property expansion, and you can see that this in the green area is all the additional acreage. We've just about doubled the size of our acreage here. That's the industrial park there. We've got some ideas for that as well. Maintenance committee, you have to always think in terms, again, of those detailed things like trash pickup and stuff. And we're proposing new ordinances that will be coming to just update basic maintenance things like outdoor dining and noise and stuff. So that, because again, I've got a lot of residents living in the Central Business District now, and they need to be taken care of. We've completed a parking study, and the first of the year you will see a whole new implementation of we're doing away with parking meters and doing parking stations. And then, of course, the River Center garages will go under private management. The council has approved that. Our toolkit is, and you can get all this online, downtownbatonrouge.org. It's been just a huge hit, and it has a lot of data in there, and I encourage you, if you haven't ever seen it before, to take a look at this booklet, because it's got tons of information in there. We maintain property database, again, to encourage development, always marketing downtown. We've been fortunate to get a number of international, national, and local awards for our work. So with that, I will stop and entertain any questions anybody has. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
I live in Beauregard Quarters.
Yes.
And yesterday, on the Greenway, I was almost, I was scared because people were walking on the Greenway and it was scary. This morning, by the Methodist Church on North Boulevard and Interstate,
Yes.
young people were almost drunk, stoned, or whatever, and they disappeared after that. So what are you doing about having more walking, sheriffs, city police, security downtown?
Well, first off, if you see something that you're not comfortable with, always contact the police.
I know, but what I'm saying
So
is
did you
that-
do that? Number one, you need to do that, number one.
But what I'm saying, is it possible to have telephone emergencies on those places where you can put in like you are in there, and then
We're actually,
report to the police?
we're actually looking at that for parts of the Greenway, so thank you. Yes?
Yes, I was wondering, is there any possibility to have a connection with the West Baton Rouge side to East Baton Rouge side? Maybe with CATS or something where you can have some kind of way that you can have people from this side come to this side to visit some.
I would love that, and you know, North Street was historically the old ferry landing, and the idea of restoring a ferry type of experience would be a great one for me. I think people have asked us about, could we add on something like bike or a walking path over the Mississippi River Bridge? I don't know if we can or not, but anything that I think promotes another form of transportation that can link a whole nother town to downtown, I think is great. So I would love to see that happen. But you know, the ferry was talked about at one point about access on the west side, it's LSU downtown and stuff, as another means to get down there and stuff. So, but certainly if the state gets in a better posture and stuff, we'd love to explore things like that. Was it today? Yesterday, the bridges all was stopped up, and you had to take a detour route and stuff. So it just is always going to be issues like that. Yes.
On the DeSoto Park, you noted some of the funding challenges for previous
Yes.
iterations there.
Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of funding sources you're looking at, what kind of price tag it's going to have, and whether or not you have a timeline on that yet.
Well, I'm waiting. I've sent the commissioner a letter along with Mark Moses, assistant commissioner. I'm sorry, repeat the question. They wanted to know about the that their previous projects on DeSoto Park had always trouble with some funding, and what about the funding for this proposal that's before us right now? Well, we're proposing something that is not about nearly as costly, because I'm not proposing to raise up any property. I'm proposing to take existing land and make a series of trails through it. So we think there's a program through CRT that we would be eligible to apply for, and that's what we would do, Cultural Recreation and Tourism. It's called Recreational Trails. And we've used it on several projects. And again, when we're talking about signage and trails, and I'd love to see a role with BREC here, and I happen to serve as a BREC commissioner, and they have like the Frenchtown Road park there, they have trails like this. Part of it floods, and then they come back, and they use a lot of volunteers to maintain the trails and stuff. And so, we actually have an agency that's got experience with this, but I just think that the cost is going to be minimal. And obviously, if something down the road were to emerge that was big and great and stuff, you can still do it. I'm not investing a lot in here. I mean, talking about signage and trails and stuff. So I think.
This would be along with the state and everything. It wouldn't just be a city project.
No, this would be with the state, because the state owns the property and stuff.
Okay.
So it's been sitting there again for a while, and I just see this as an opportunity for an incredible attraction that in a downtown, an urban area, you got 20-acre this nature preserve that would kind of really just like wow people in a big way. At one end, you got the water campus, you got hotels, you got the River Center, you got the Shaw Center, and then you have a trail, a 20-acre trail hike. It's just like, that's great, to have for a downtown. So, yes, sir.
I've been working with a group that has been promoting two-way traffic on North Street,
Mm-hmm.
and I live in Melrose Place.
Yeah.
It makes sense for me to use North Street to come downtown, but then I've got to remember which streets are the one-way. So where are you standing on trying to help facilitate some more convenient two-way?
I'm generally supportive of two-way streets because we got the St. Louis and St. Ferdinand done. It took me 7 years. And finally told the mayor, I said, Mayor, I think some of your own people are the one that's really killing this thing. That's why it's not happening. North Street and Main Street are feeders, and when you're in the downtown proper, are feeder to the interstate system. So it makes it a little bit more complicated because you have those service roads. If we can figure out how to do that, I'm all for it. And I do know that on the east side of Main Street, Coleman Brown and some other people have been wanting to see that two-way for many years. But North Street is two ways.
It's
over there.
two-way
Yeah.
part of the way.
Yeah,
When you get to Acadian,
Yeah,
I believe, or
yeah.
22nd
Yeah.
Street, it turns
Right.
one way.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Davis, obviously, in my time, obviously, the Capitol House restoration was pivotal to almost all of us, right?
Yes.
But have we seen the last TIF in downtown? Because there's been a nationwide, not just locally, but a nationwide pushback against those kind of public subsidies for private owners.
My kind of covenant with the people in City Parish was, let's get to that PKF goal, which was 11 to 1,200 hotel rooms, and then let's sit and talk about it. So there's not, we will achieve that with the Marriott Hotel opening up and the Watermark opening up. But I don't want to ever say never, because it might be this incredible development that comes along, like maybe across the street. If somebody buys the 3 buildings, that's the State National Complex and stuff. So that might deliver to this part of town something that we don't have. It's maybe major retail or something like that. I don't know if the council would ever go with a TIF for retail, but yeah, I don't want to say never, but I would say right now, I would say that there's going to have to be a discussion that's going to be pretty deep about the TIF. Now, TIFs have been used in other parts of the parish, though, as well. They've been used off of Bluebonnet hotel TIFs and stuff. So there is precedent to use them elsewhere.